Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie, nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy i musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom, to jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.
Zrzeczenie się. Zawarte tutaj materiały informacyjne i edukacyjne mają na celu promowanie ogólnego zrozumienia i dialogu na temat przetwarzania materiału GAMS. Takie informacje nie mają na celu zastąpienia szkolenia klinicznego, doświadczenia lub oceny lekarza. Dla pacjentów i innych osób takie informacje nie zastępują profesjonalnych porad medycznych, terapeutycznych lub zdrowotnych. Czytelnicy, widzowie, słuchacze powinni zawsze skonsultować się z lekarzem w przypadku problemów lub wątpliwości medycznych, w tym decyzji dotyczących leków i innych metod leczenia lub w poważnych przypadkach zwrócić się o natychmiastową pomoc do personelu ratunkowego. Informacje na temat recept, procedur oraz używania urządzeń medycznych powinny być podejmowane wyłącznie przez odpowiednio przeszkolony i certyfikowany personel medyczny. W szczególności zrzekamy się wszelkich gwarancji bezpośrednich lub domyślnych, w tym domyślnych gwarancji przydatności handlowej lub przydatności do określonego celu. Zawarte tutaj informacje są dostarczane takie, jakie są i uważa się, że są dokładne w momencie ich publikacji, ale to zdaniem widza jest ocena dokładności wszelkich informacji zawartych w tej prezentacji. Każdy przedstawiony przypadek bazuje na własnym doświadczeniu stosowania wyłącznie przez siebie oraz na sobie i tyczy się tylko i wyłącznie tego przypadku. Każda osoba mająca problemy zdrowotne powinna zasięgnąć profesjonalnej porady lekarskiej oraz skonsultować przebieg leczenia z lekarzem. Opisane tutaj procesy balansowania plazmą są naturalnymi procesami wspomagającymi organizm, ale nie zastępują porady lekarskiej czy terapii, z których już korzystacie. Witamy wszystkich na 431 warsztatach poszukiwaczy wiedzy w języku polskim. Dzisiaj mamy czwartek, 14 stycznia 2021 roku. I tematem jest kolejny warsztat, jest to 362. Przetłumaczony na dzisiaj fragment to od 7 minut do godziny 30 minut. 15 minut dzisiaj będzie trochę krócej, jak planowaliśmy wcześniej. A po warsztacie zapraszam do rozmów, zadawania pytań, na które postaramy się odpowiedzieć. Tak więc zapraszam do wysłuchania i obejrzenia.
My name's Rick Crammond. I'll be a host today. And as usual in this series of Knowledge Seekers workshops, we have Mr. Mayran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation ready to go to present today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Good morning, Rick. Good morning. Good day to you as usual. Whenever and wherever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers of Keshe Foundation, especially Institute, as we are on our 362nd teaching cycle of weeks, and as we are on the first teaching of 2021, we welcome you the new year, and we wish you one of the best forever for mankind. We start this year with a lot of hope, with a lot of knowledge, with a lot of anxiety, and a society today is totally different than when we started last year this time, the first teaching of the 2020. We are facing massive, what we call psychological pressures and controls, and uncertain future ahead of many of us. With what is known as Corona and what is turned up to be in the past 12 months, changing a lifestyle for millions of people. We have seen the introduction of new vaccines, we have seen reports, we have seen how some of them are helping and some of them are creating more havoc than before. In the process of these trials, as we see, has started, many of the frontline doctors and nurses have become victims of the vaccination. And we've seen many doctors already have died, and many what we call frontline helpers. How this will change humanity, we do not know. But one thing is for sure, this virus will unite mankind. In so many ways to understand more, and in so many ways to bring a new dimension for those who understand the process of the creation. In so many ways, we take an injection. It's literally what I said to one of the knowledge seekers. This is a Russian roulette. You don't know what will come on the other end of the bullet. And would we show reaction? Would we show no reaction? But there is one thing for sure. Most of the people who have shown any kind of reaction, they already have shown signs of being allergic to one thing or another. Majority of the cases are those who show high allergies or hidden allergies, especially as we've seen one of the doctors in Miami who lost his life within 3 days, has been that those who are allergic show high sensitivity to anything before are the most vulnerable. So what we advise is most of you who are online with your governments to try to find a solution with your doctors and your government. If you're allergic and you can prove it, not to take the injection. At least till more data is available for all of us to understand the position of our body in respect to the injection. On the other hand, as part of the Keshe Foundation, in the coming days, two new systems, actually 3 new systems, will be introduced into the hand of the doctors to test and try. And we hopefully by the time we complete these reports, for the first time we'll submit full reports to health authorities with the full backing of the data of the doctors and the number of the patients. This will go on the back of the data we created in the Corona report of Iran 2020. With this new technology, we have developed a new cycle, a new process that will allow to see how fast doctors can reverse or revert or confirm the reversal of the corona. This is a new technology, and for the first time, Keshe Foundation directly will submit application form to health authorities for submission of a new system for corona. In a way, we are not submitting an injection, we are submitting environmental changes which can, to see with the approval of the doctors, brings the condition of the reversal or at least control of it. This system is unique, never been shown in public, never been disclosed, but it will create what we call a stepping stone towards not only for the viruses, but for a space development, conversion of the viruses in the space. This is important for development, as this system will be part of the new enhancement units, what we call controlling system. Many of the features of it will be disclosed once the approval and the test results from doctors have received. We shouldn't have much problem in testing maybe 200-300 people in a couple of weeks, as there are many cases and the doctors can rapidly test and confirm or ask for evaluation of the data by authorities. This is not only can be used for the human body, but it can be used for environmental changes, where we will see the change will come by changing the environment within the room, that number of people can be at the same time supported. This is possible. This is the next step in the development. And we hope for the first time not showing an injection, but showing a system, a technology which can help with all viruses. In the future, it could be a flu, it could be any kind of what they call ADHD, or it could be any kind of Parkinson. You will have to see if we see to these as the same as the viruses as is developed for the enhancement unit. My wish is that this process of what we call Corona will and create a new school of thoughts, a new school of understanding the creation. For so many of you has been a system. What can we do? In the teaching in the past few weeks, we have elaborated on understanding the totality of the knowledge about the soul of the man. Today, I want to teach you something new. Something that some of you can make it tangible. Some of you already achieved this, but never followed it up, or you couldn't follow it because you couldn't understand it. Some 4 or 5 years ago, we brought this out in a process of organs or arms or hands in the test we did in Canada with Ali. And then it got stopped because some things went not understood. And now after years, we think most of you will be able to achieve this. This is the reason why we introduced the 5 cups. Last week and the last 2 weeks, we showed you the elevation of the soul of the man, understanding the presence of the soul of the man in respect to use of what we call cups of the soul. But now there is a dimension. In reality, you should be able to extend the soul of the man beyond the boundary of the physicality, in a way sending it through a shock wave of fields of the plasma condition of your own creation, which has created you, to cover the boundary of your physicality, which means in a way you go through a shock wave of fields that any virus, any other things will be seen to, will be balanced off. In a way, you go through a cleansing system through your own structure. How do we do this? In the process of last week's teaching, I showed you how to use the cup of soul. And then, in that process, how to create a soul of control of your own within you that is lower in field strength, that the cups you have created will feed you. In that process, the interaction of their fields with what I call humbleness of your soul will manifest, enlighten your soul. And in the same process, when you come to understand that the soul of the Creator is much more humbler than you, then in line with the strength of the field from your soul, you will see the light of the Creator. It's the same process. As they say, the same in macro and in micro. So in this process, many of you understood. Many of you are trying to find a way to see if your soul can shine. In time, some of you will achieve it. But in that process, we come to the next step of understanding the use of the cups and how you can protect your physical body. In a way, let me explain to you in a very simple way. You are in a position in a physical danger, and you do not want the physicality to be there. That will go through it. An earthquake, a car crash, an attack, air crash. You are in it and you don't want the physicality to be touched. In a way, you learn how to extend the fields of your soul beyond the soul of physicality and the physical body of the man. You all have the tools with you for past few weeks, past few months. Go back to the 5 cups. What do you need to do? How can you teach your soul or your physical soul to reach beyond the boundary of your physicality, that it covers it? In a way, if you go, this has been taught in the 3 books. And it's been taught in some of the papers released. And it's been taught and it's been signed into the patent. Now for the first time, maybe you can do it. Maybe you have a system that can not only elevate your soul, but extend your soul in a dimension of physicality where the physical energy balance of your soul with its environment makes you invisible. In a way, you become a source, but in a way cannot be seen. In one of the patterns and in one of the papers and the books, I call it as a black envelope. Whatever you put in the envelope, it covers, doesn't matter what's in it. You can put a pound in it, you can put a note in it, you can put a key in it. It's the envelope which covers what's in it. And this envelope is what we're going to teach you today, that many of you can start physically see, physically test, physically understand the work of your soul. We're targeting for 21st of March 2021. And in this process, a man who can cover and understand and be aware of the functionality of his soul will be the man who will take the first steps in the direction of understanding the operation of his own souls towards the Creator and becoming a passengers of the universe. What do? Go back. You have the soul. You have set up the system of the soul and you're in it. Now you have to create a condition that your soul becomes more powerful than your physicality. That in comparison to physicality, in taking the energy from the soul in a specific way to the soul of physicality, you create a balance barrier where the physicality becomes inside the atmosphere and within the sphere of the soul of the man. As I go back, I hidden this in a beautiful way in a paper which was published, Interatomic Fusion. Interatomic fusion, as we spoke before, is the secret of creation. Not in how you allow an electron to fuse inside a proton to create energy, but in a way how you extend the fields of the proton that goes beyond the electron. This is what it is. Many of you have been told about a point in front of your forehead that you have given it many names. You call it whatever gland. Use this gland, if you understand it, by its dimension and its strength, to extend the soul to it and then beyond it. In a way, you have to understand the soul of the man at this point, at this conjuncture, will manifest itself as a light, as a balanced light with its environment. Many of you use, and in doctors tell us that this gland is right in front of your forehead. And in so many things connected to it, because it's the electron in the structure of the atomic structure of the body of the man. The soul of the man is the proton, and this electron at that boundary decides the feature of the man. And in that process, if you understand it, you can create, using the cups of the soul of physicality in the same process, by placing the cup of physicality in respect to your soul, and cup of physicality in respect to the environment of the gravitational magnetic field of the inertia, you should be able to extend your souls outside. In a way, if you understand it and can create the right condition, you can become invisible in a visible position. Because it's the inertia which you have taken position on. If you go for the soul of the planet, you will take that position in respect to the planet. In a way, children say, you see me now, you don't see me now. In a way, this is the process of extending the soul of the man beyond the soul of physicality, but within the dimension of the soul and the soul material state that makes you to manifest yourself in a visible condition. In time, in practice, you learn how to do this. Many people in the universe use the furthest extremity of their body to create this condition and position. The tip of a finger, the tip of a toe. And then you connect to it. And in the strength as being lower than the strength of your soul, you create an envelope. You will not be seen. If you are getting attacked and you see a bullet, you can instantly do that the bullet goes through you, because you don't exist in the matter state where the bullet has been made for. This is how we make the wars not worth fighting anymore. This is how we, in a way, disappear the need of the man to kill to live, because if you can reach to this point, you will start understanding how to feed your soul. In a way, the feeding of the soul of the man through the extension of the soul beyond a physical boundary becomes part of your daily routine. It becomes how you cleanse yourself. In a way, in the scriptures and the past, they called it to pray. To pray wasn't there to pray to the Creator, was to pray beyond the boundary, that the man find himself in a way to feed himself through the soul of the man. And man got it again the wrong way, the physical way of bending and standing and praying and the rest of it. If you can make the cups of what you call inertia with a cup of the soul of physicality in a specific position and condition of your soul as you structured it before, you will be invisible. In a way, you become invisible and you become a source of energy, but not as a light. When you are at the strength of the soul of the man, you become a light. When you are at the strength of the boundary of the envelope, the physicality of the man, and you can create a balance, you become invisible. And this can be done in a very easy way, because you need to do this. If you travel within the dimension of the space, when you go, for example, if you go in the physical matter from a UFO into the landing position on the planet, you need to know this process, because you leave the physicality dimension of the controlled environment to unknown, where you have to change. And when you withdraw the soul from the dimension of the physicality, then you see what shape your body will take in respect to the environment and how it will guarantee survival, because you have created a balanced field environment in respect to the inertia of the environment you entered, plus its magnetic position of this planet. This way, if you're in deep space and you want to take what we call at the moment the spacewalk, you don't need to create such a thing as a gravitational magnetic field of the planet, but of the environment, fast flowing fields, but still creating magnetic and gravitational fields. This is how we said from the beginning. The 5 cups is a sandbox for many of you to start working on, and anyone or any nation which ignores this, it does it at their peril, because those who can come and go, they'll be through your house without you knowing, they'll be through your life without you knowing, as they have the possibility to do this. If you have taught and you understand it, this cannot be done, because in a way of protection of the fields, no one can intrude with the dimension of your soul. In teaching this process, in teaching how to make man to become invisible and a way to feed his soul that he feeds his physicality, when you retract the soul back to its position, as now it becomes the receiver, and in that position, soul manifests itself within the structure of the physicality, then you can regenerate, you can repair, you can feed all the cells of the body which could have had unbalanced fields. In this process, this is part of the teaching of the deep space travel. As I said, for those of you who do not reach the point of the elevation of understanding the work of your soul, We give you the UFOs. We give you maggraph systems. For those of you who elevate to understand the work of your souls, this is the way you travel the depth of the space. Because I always said, when I teach, I do not teach for the human race only, but my knowledge is for the soul of the universe, that every soul created in a unicos hears and gets elevated. It might not sound something for you as humans, that it can be done, but those travelers of deep space who receive this knowledge the same as time as you do, but they are more advanced. Now they know how to transmute and transfer. And those who are on the edge of the knowledge of the creation, now they find a way to find a closer way in line to meeting their creators. The evolution of the technology in teaching is understanding the knowledge from the creator. And in this process, many of you will find new positions. Many of you will understand, as I said before, in the maggraph systems, in the enhancement systems, we don't create the matter. As I was teaching in the Iranian teaching last night, we do not create matter in the enhancement units. We create the soul of the matter, that what it fits into the inertia can convert. We create the soul of the gold. We create the soul of the copper. And in the condition of the inertia of the system, it creates copper if the wish of the man who runs it is to produce copper. This is the same if your wish is to produce invisibility, balance in energy and fields. This is what you shall receive. The teaching of today has to be understood, especially what those of you who work and start working on the balanced field effects. Understand the work of the field. And it's for those of you who understood, have made the systems, have made the cups, now you test. This is much simpler than trying to see the soul, trying to elevate your soul, because this is a stepping stone in a way of cleansing the physicality from dimension of its needs, that the soul becomes free to be able to elevate itself. We taught you from top to bottom. As much as in a physical condition, we taught you from bottom to top. We gave you the cup of life to start with. Then we gave you the second cup. Then we gave you the soul. Then we gave you the soul of the planet. But now there is a sixth cup which comes into operation, that it needs for the man to have to decide which universe he will travel into. The cup number 6 is the dimension of the physicality of the man who wants to travel within the space of this universe. You need this to be below the cup of the soul of the planet. And in that process, mankind has not achieved that level of knowledge. But for those of you, the travel of the universe, who understood this and have already reached this position to travel the depth of the universe, you need this cup, that you create the fields of the position in the universe, that you will arrive at that point. This is the way when the physicality of the man leaves behind on earth, and the soul of the man leaves to find a new position in the universe. The balance of the magnetic gravitational field of the soul of the universe, in conjunction with the fields of the soul of the man, will dictate the position of the soul of the man in the universe, where it will become the center point of the soul, the new star. In a way, in the future to come, when mankind reaches the maturity of the knowledge, then he can pinpoint where the soul of the father is, the grandfather is, or the brother. In a way, this is the next elevation of the knowledge for mankind and those in the space who understand the knowledge of it. If you could understand, and in the coming time, many of you be able to create the soul of the universe, you become the passengers of the universe. There is no GPS. It's understanding the field strength of the position. Up to now, your soul was in condition and position of the soul of physicality. In that position, you can remove the soul of the physicality of the earth, the magnet of the earth from the system, and make the soul of the cup of the universe the position of the center. You become passengers of the universe, and you become detached from the earth. In so many ways, then you have to understand how you will change the dimension of the inertia. If you remove the cup of inertia, then you stay in the level of the physicality and the soul of the man in the dimension of the universal position. In a way, you become independent of the physicality on this planet and the position and the space on this planet. This knowledge has been hidden from man up to now. Now we've shown you the way. In a coming time, the scientists of this planet will develop this technology. The Keshe Foundation Research Centers will show the first systems in the coming weeks. We have already set up to achieve this in the systems which we have developed. In a way, away from the physicality and the dimension of the fields of the universe. In so many ways, in the coming weeks, the evolution in knowledge will be beyond man's understanding. But we push you through. We push you through so rapidly to understand the totality of the knowledge. It's the responsibility of the knowledge seekers to teach and understand this rapidly, to develop it. This goes especially to people like Alex in Canada, who have endeavored and touched the knowledge. Very few people who has managed to break through, and teaching it is hard for even him to understand. He is one of the blessed souls. Try to understand the beauty of creation. Then you understand the knowledge. Try to understand the need of your soul, not the need of the physicality. Try to understand what beauty has been offered to your soul that is chosen to be present at this time and space. Try to understand the process of the elevation of the soul of the man through the soul of the physicality, not soul of physicality through the soul of the man. Try to understand how the soul of your physicality led to the creation of your soul. And then through that process, decide the position and the place where the physicality will manifest itself in agreement and the balance between the soul of physicality and soul of the man. You get it wrong, you'll find no home and no shelter. You get it right, you become a shining star in the process of the creation of the universe. And maybe if the elevation and service and servitude is pure, to even reach the level of the understanding the process of the creation and be enlightened with the light of the Creator. This is in your hand. This is what we said, to walk away from matter state, to walk away from not understanding, but getting bogged down with reactors and whatever. Not all of you will achieve this point. In a way, in the coming time, we still shall see the UFOs. In the coming time, we still see flying structures. In the coming time, we'll see man working to keep busy within the time and the space of his life. But there is one major question for a human race. What do other creatures of the Creator do in the universe? Do they go to school? Do they work? Do they go to factories? Do they waste their life working 16 hours a day to rest for 8, and then working 50 weeks a year for 2 days of meager rest? Then you understand you can create anything and at the same time be detached. Because when you strengthen your soul to the boundary of the soul of the physicality of the life of the inertia, you don't need the clothes to wear. As the environment of your soul becomes your frock, this is what you will be. How would you like to change the color of the skin and what you do not want to see and to be seen? This is how mankind will become the traveler of space. We will not carry shoes and clothing, but we understand the extension of the soul and dimension of physicality and the wish of the physicality in the dimension of the soul. I am a woman or I'm a man, and I want this man or the woman to see my physicality, the beauty I create for him or her, that I could have a lover. I want no one to see me, because this is for me. I create myself in a combination of the fields that my gender is mine for me to know. In a way, I stand clear of any misconduct, as my soul has already agreed with the soul that in that process I manifest myself to who I want in the position I want. Man will not be wearing a frock, a suit or a skirt. As now, with the creation of understanding this process, that you can extend your souls beyond the dimension of physicality with simple cups that you understand, you will learn that, do I need clothing? Do I need to be heated? Do I need to be kept warm? Do I need to kill to feed? In so many ways, As I explained to knowledge seekers some times ago, you stand in front of the lamp. He said, I like your taste. He says, take from my plasma, you'll have the taste without killing. The same as what we did with a cup and an orange. We don't need to destroy an orange. We are given the essence and the taste and the feature of it. That we taste it, we don't need to eat it. We understand the love of it, the creation of it. But we don't need to take energy from it. We admire its beauty and everything else that we want. In a space this way, no one will kill. In a way, in a space, to understand this, you become the cup. At the same time as you're the orange. You're a cup to understand the emotion, the beauty, and everything of the soul in front of you. But at the same time, you're orange for him to assess and enjoy the beauty of you. In so many ways, mankind reaches the point of maturity that no one can kill, as we become deprived from the essence of the beauty of what we wanted to kill. In a way, no soul will touch another soul. In a way, no soul will ever desire to be in a position that he has to disintegrate the soul. In the teaching, in the Farsi teaching, yesterday I explained in a simple way that many of you could not understand for quite some time how the plasma works. And in a simple way, maybe some of you would understand this process as I explained to knowledge seekers. In chemistry, you have molecules made from the interaction of the atoms in different shapes or forms. And this is what you see. In the world of plasma and understanding the conversion into the fields and essence, what you call the A, the B, the C, and D is totally different. In a world of matter state, to manifest yourself, you need this to create yourself a volume and point of physicality. In the world of plasma, it's like having a pen and having the elastics of different strength, but all connected to the same pin, where A sits there and B is here and C and D, where in essence D is part of the energy level of the C, B and A. This is the difference in the world of the plasma technology and understanding the creation in the plasma state and the level of the soul. And this is what is in the matter of the physics and what we call matter state and manifestation. Where here we only see the A from outside, but the others within the strength are inside. And if we have a D here, this will connect with this. This is, for example, why in your work and in your creation of gases, we tell you always use a carbon, where in the amino acid, the C connects to feel the strength of the position and the system. There is no more matter state, but totally and utterly field state. And this is what we see. This is what many of you have to understand. When you create the systems, for you to be invisible or to be in a way to allow the soul of your boundaries be achieved, you have to remember your boundary, you feel the strength of your soul is made of the field strength of your amino acid. Those of you who understand this can extend it to the next knowledge. Those of you who understand it, you can understand what this will bring you in being able to even identify this soul is from which planet or which part of the universe this soul comes from. When you look at the star, you understand this star has its origin from a soul from Earth. Because you are connected to it by its basic amino acid dimension. It's very much, as we say, the guy is Chinese, Japanese, or Brazilian, or English. Through the strength of the soul, we recognize the position where the soul was created. Has no nationality and no point of planet, but the point of essence of its creation. In coming time, in the teachings to come in next few weeks, we'll take you through this process of teaching. We take you through the process to understand how to leave the dimension of physicality. As I said, these teachings will touch the soul of the priest, the pope, the ayatollahs, and those sitting as rabbis, chief rabbis, and heads of all the religious leaders, as now they have to judge for their own soul. Many will leave their flock. Many will leave the churches and the mosques, as they understand they themselves have become equal in knowledge and understanding of their own soul. In a way, we see the end of religions, as there is no one to follow the religion, as the religions have brought man to the point of maturity of today, by guiding them and protecting those who understood. In so many ways, the process of understanding the creation of the non-physical matter through the dimension of the strength of the soul of the man is the final frontier, where the mankind will open the space of the universe and unicos for itself to become his home. If you understood and understand today's teaching, we have given you the golden key to become the passengers of the universe, where you can choose the point and the place in the universe, and where you decide how to manifest yourself at that point and the presence. Understand the work of the cups, because those are the way the cup of your life, the cup of your soul, the cup of your physicality will dictate your life. These cups, as I said, are sandboxes, and the actual practice and understanding comes with the dimension of your own physicality. In so many ways, try to understand the process of the creation, not the process of the creator. In that sense, you shall fail. Try to go back to understand what we mean by inertia. Understand what inertia is in combination of the elements of the place and the position of existence. You might be very handsome in one inertia on the planet, and on the other inertia you could be handicapped. You have to understand the totality of the interaction of the fields, irrespective of the matter state. You have to understand the composition of what your soul has been made of, that you can play with it. Many of you looked at the cups. Many of you look at the cups of the soul. But there is one thing you again, 100% all of you have missed. All these cups create a protein on top. That's the link of the connection to your physicality. Without them, you cannot operate. And those of you who understand how to use these knowledge, you will be able to achieve to, in a way, make yourself invisible, that people now understand the knowledge is there. But my wish is, before you do that, practice with an orange and an apple before you become the apple itself, which is invisible, but we can taste and smell you, but we cannot see you. In a way, learn how to leave a track back home if you want to come back in the dimension of physicality of the space and time you're in. Some of the knowledge seekers a few years ago moved to this point, and then in not understanding, lost a couple of balls. In a way, they achieved to create the position and the space of the fields of the dimension where the soul of the ball was, and he went to it. As the outer ball opened itself, like very much like the body of the man, when he reached maturity, opened up and released the soul, and the soul takes its own position. We've seen with some knowledge seekers 3-4 years ago, which they achieved this, and they lost what we call the two of their balls, the center balls, where those center balls reached and achieved the dimension of the soul of a position in the universe, where by destruction or opening of the outer core, the inner core took its place, position, and destination. In a way, this is exactly how the soul of the man will function and work. And as I always said to Arman, you lost your two balls, but you don't know where they are, because the two balls lost were the soul of the system. And in a way, because of the amino acid he used in the mixture without knowing, gave a conditional position of the soul of the man as a child. And in releasing the outer core with the strength, he found his position in the depth of the universe. It's not that it hasn't been done, but those of you who achieved it never understood where and how you achieved and what happened. If you have created a system in the kitchen with that gravitational magnetic field which is created, if you take now the system to the house of your brothers or to another position and you try to create a condition, go back to the home in the kitchen and you find out where you lost your ball. In a way, is very much the identification of the inertia of the position is like that pigeon which goes back home. This is how mankind will return back to the spot, to the same place, by creation of gravitational magnetic field, back to Earth. This is how the birds recognize their position, traveling from one continent to another, directly on the same spot, on the same tree. Doesn't matter how tall the tree has gone, or if it's been cut and only one branch is left. This is how man will take flight in the space of this planet and beyond. Teaching of today, in a way, is a beginning, as we said, beginning of a new year, to bring mankind to the point that we are ready to accept a new soul with a new dimension and direction, that we become detached from the physicality. We understand the integration of the collection of the totality of the soul of the man, the soul of the physicality, the soul of the planet, and the soul of universe. In so many ways, as I said, is like elastic. Depends, are you or do you see yourself as A, B, C, or D? In so many ways, the teaching of today is the beginning of the opening of the soul of the man. For those of you who are elevated to understand the work, don't become proud of what you have achieved, as at that moment you will lose all in hypocrisy and ego. Stay humble that you can receive, and stay humble that you can give. And in that process, the more you receive, the more you can give. The humbler you become, the more you will cover. And in that process, the more mature you become to understand the process of creation. I hope some of you understand this, and I hope some of you in understanding this will convert it and converse it to a way that many others can understand. I hope in so many ways, many of you through the teaching of today have found the solution for every virus on this planet and beyond. And I hope the knowledge seekers today will become wise to understand the use of the work of the field forces and not the use of the matter state. As I said, we teach for all to understand, but is the maturity of the man what he can achieve according to his understanding. I have shown you the way to the next level to become the travelers of the universe. But you have to find a key first, how to become energy without the physical dimension while the physicality is within you. Then you have to find the strength of the universe, that you can travel in the depth of it to any position as you wish. If you understood this, you will understand as mankind becomes to understand the totality of the creation of this universe, then you can create conditions to travel into other universes, understanding the principle of the travel within the strength of the magnetic gravitational fields of the Creator. as many of you understand, the more we teach, the more we understand that we know nothing yet compared to the knowledge of the Creator and the creation. And in this process, we understand how feeble mankind are in thought, in physicality, and in soul. And is our hope that one day, mankind or someone reaches the maturity point to be able to see the light of the Creator. Any questions?
Good
Okay,
morning,
thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Keshe.
Keshe.
Yes.
Thank you. I think your old friend has asked the question for several times. So I think I have to help him to ask this.
Which old friend?
Mr. Hu, he's asking,
Yes.
is the Gauss meter can test the strength of the plasma? But if you explain like this even lower than atom, then I don't think any meters right now can measure the strength of the plasma, right?
Is he on the line?
Yes, he's on QQ.
Does he have any other question to ask?
Let me ask.
Mr. Hu is one of the loyal supporters of the Keshe Foundation in China, and with a very powerful position within the structure of Chinese government. In so many ways, you cannot measure the strength of the soul of the man, as we don't have the equipments for it, but you can detect its beauty.
But Mr. Keshe, I think he's mentioned maybe just GANs, like something made from GANs, like ceramic caps or something, like how to measure the strength of the plasma field, radiation by that.
There's no radiation, it's a plasma fields of it, and soon we will introduce systems for this. Yes, there is a way you can measure the strength of the plasma. You need to do it in two ways. One, creating a field lower than the plasma of the gas you created, that you create traffic of the flow, and then you measure the flow of the strength of the flow. That will give you the strength of the source. Or you make something bigger that it feeds the plasma, and then you again measure the feedback on its return, because what it receives, it gives out. There is a need for development of the new systems for man to understand and confirm, as is so physical, the existence of the fields. But with the present systems, it's very hard to do, But in a way, the flow is there because we see the effects. It's just finding systems that are so sensitive or creates a position that they can create the understanding of the movement of the string. Many races in the space use the emotion of the soul for measurement. What emotion a field creates, it gives you the dimension and strength of. Is it the strength of the solid? Is it strength of the gold? What emotion does it create in you? It's the same as the field flow from the blood of the man in interaction with the field of the soul of the man creates the emotions we know. It's something which might be interesting to some of you to understand. How, for example, if you're blind, deaf, or dumb, you still have the feeling of joy, you can feel the happiness, or you can understand the emotion of happiness without being able to hear it, to see it, or in a way using any of the senses. This again goes back to the dimension of the what you call gravitational magnetic field flow of the plasma of the blood, which gathers from its environment. You call it aura. And in that interaction transfers the energy to interact with the soul of the man. And then in that interaction, you create the emotion. So in a way, the soul of the man is deaf, dumb, and blind, but understands the field strength and converts that to the emotion of his fields. How the other fields within it have to react in respect to the field which has been received and interacted. This is how many of you will travel the span of the universe to be able to do the work.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. But he asked again, it's like they use the freezing water, can see the field, the shape of the field.
No. The freezing water shows the direction that the fields are traveling. Does not show the strength of the field. This is unless you can measure and have to understand how far, what thickness they are. The freezing water shows us the pattern of the field flow, does not show us the strength of the material. It's like we use the frozen water the same as we use the iron dust in the magnet. But the shape and the strength of the magnet iron dust does not tell you the strength of the field.
Thank you so much. I think that's very clear.
Thank you very much, Madam Magdalene. Sorry, Rick. You had somebody jumping faster than us that we ever know.
Faster than the speed of light.
Yep.
Okay, I'm just going to, before the light entered, I was going to remind our attendees here, as usual, that they can put up their virtual hand I see that I had to activate that because they couldn't do that before now anyway. And that we have a couple of questions in the Q&A. Perhaps we can address one of those now. We've got Salomia who asks, what is the influence on the soul of the man of the 26,000 year cycle of the solar system around the central sun of our galaxy? And how does that influence the soul of the planet and climate changes too?
We we do not ignore any of it, but you got to understand all the stars within the galaxy, like every planet within our solar system, affects and conditions. And with hundreds of millions of stars and galaxies in the galaxy and in the universe, the same with the stars in it, all collectively decide how we react. We might see the condition of the atmospheric condition of this planet differ slightly this year than last year, because last year we were in a different position in the galaxy than this year. But at the same time, we have to understand how much energy we have lost and how much energy we gain as we don't maintain the same position. In the solar system, we understand certain planets and certain moons will configure to the same position as so many cycles of the rotation of the planets around the sun. But as we see, it takes longer for example, Saturn to make a full circle than the Earth around the sun. It's the same thing with us, with our central galaxies, and creates different gravitational magnetic fields on the planet. And as we know, we are created from the soul of the, what we call the galaxy. It'll affect in many of our emotions. The way we get affected by the position of our planet in respect to the solar system during the summer and winter in northern and southern hemisphere, the same condition, subconscious emotions, by the position of these, what we call motions of the other stars or other elements in the galaxy, will affect the soul of the man. We are an integral part of the totality. We are not the exception. Any other question?
Okay, we've got Tui in the Q&A, who has a GANs question, is wondering, what could I use the GANs of what could I use? I guess, what could you use it for? The GANs of a nano-coated zinc coil and a nano-coated copper coil. Says, to me, it feels similar to ZNO and CO2 GANs.
It's the field strength of the gases you produce. And in so many ways is the field strength of the elements which have been absorbed from the environment which you create. Any other question? We answered this a few years ago, 2, 3 years ago in depth, maybe more.
Yeah, I think it's come up before. James asks, what do you feed the soul? How does it work?
You find the strength which the soul operates under and let it absorb from it if it needs, and that's how you feed it. Any other question? As I said before, we're not going to chew it for you to swallow it. You have to work on it to understand it.
Okay, there's a question in YouTube from Ram, who says, Mr. Keshe uses the words in the coming weeks, in the coming time. Can he be more precise with the dates of the occurring future breakthroughs?
No.
I thought you would say that.
This
has come up before many times.
Many times. You got to understand that I'm back in the lab after years of exile. And in so many ways, the development is very rapid. And I enjoy working with the team I work, and it gives me a pleasure to open up new technologies that is unknown. But I go at the speed that the team I work with can understand. And they can evolve to evaluate and develop. And I was deprived of such a pleasure for over more or less 6 years since we went on exile from Belgium. And my lab was confiscated in so many ways, the essential ways of not the tools of it, but the thoughts of it. And now we have found peace in Austria, and we have a very active lab. And many things we tell you is going to be released, to be done, is already done, and we've developed, we've gone to the next stage, and it's developing more in different directions and new ways and technologies. There is no frame of work. We can show you the creation of the soul today. And everything we do is more or less, which is practical to be shown. It might be released in the near future, but we are developing very rapidly. The speed of the development is literally, when we are in the lab, is on hourly basis, is not what is going to be, because in the lab over past time, I created a full operational lab. And in that operational lab, we have a zero field table, as many of you know, thanks to the government of Iran gifting these tables to us, that we work on a zero magnetic field tables, which gives us a totally different opportunity to work. And it allows us to see results very rapidly. And we create conditions that most of you do not have access to. And this allows us to manipulate and develop. As I was explaining to one of the close friends of the Keshe Foundation, one of our close advisors, the past few days, that what we have achieved, it's beyond even what we're going to do. Because when we do research, we just don't go for one thing. We develop one thing after another, and then in the process we stand back and see what we have developed over so many weeks or whatever, which part of it can be used in what per way, with what, to give us the results we want. It's, I opened my lab some 6 years ago to the knowledge seekers in Italy, and they poisoned me to kill. And I closed the door. I don't teach that way anymore. But in the process of the new research center, we work with a full-time people who we trust and we work with. And it's a close community, and it's a pleasure to research, but we don't release anything anymore as such we used to do, because it allows us to develop unknown technologies, unknown materials, unknown conditions, that it allows us to achieve what we want to achieve for the purpose we want to achieve. We used to share freely the knowledge on the edge, and they came to kill me. Now, that deprives the rest of humanity from that pleasure. We develop very rapidly. As you were aware a few weeks ago, while we were teaching on the Thursday morning, the research team achieved reduction and the motion of the system. We just announced that such a thing happened, but we achieved a lot of things. The misconduct of the man has become the punishment of the man by himself. We opened our door and they came to kill. We closed our door, now they kill themselves. They die of corona and the rest of it. Any other question?
Okay, we've got a question here from Ed. Can you expand on the role of the gland in the forehead in this process of expanding our soul?
Which gland is in your forehead?
You mentioned in front of the forehead.
Yeah.
Things.
Yeah.
Okay, could you expand more on the role of the gland in front of the forehead in this process of expanding ourselves?
What is the gland in your head that everybody says is this and that?
I'm not sure if he's referring to the pineal gland, which is one gland that people refer to as the third eye and so on, but that's not in it's not so much in the forehead as in the center of the brain. That's the way I understand it.
You have another one. You actually, that in some people is in that position too. But you have a radar receiver in front of the brain. It's a gland on its own. In a way, it's a radar detector. And it is as much radar detector for the soul of the man as for the soul of physicality and physicality of the man. And it's a combination is on the outer edges of the brain, just before the forehead. In a way, it does not take any siphoning. It's the shape is more or less the same, and in a way, the two sides of the brain in the front have one pieces of each part of the gland, that the difference reciprocal or recipient feels by the two even can dictate the position and the dimension, the strength, and even the soul recognition. The world of science, world of medicine is not aware of this gland because it sits right on the tip. We all carry it, but it's in two halves. It's a field gland, it's not a physical gland. It does not, when you look, many people who lose or go through MS or they go through ILS, we see a change in that position. And that changes the emotion and perception of not wanting to receive. If you look at the shape of the MS patients, you see it, and then when you compare it to the emotion, you see the position of the gland. It is not a one single gland, it's one gland operational as a field, but in two hubs interaction. It has never been shown because it has a different operational function and what we call capabilities that man has never understood. When you look at the cross-section of the brain, the scans, you see it, how two different sides have the same structure. We don't see this any further than the dead tip with the rest of the construction of the brain as we go further into or to the back of the head. is the tip of this point in the brain which dictates the whole facial face and the body of the man. Till it's not fully created, completed, it will not start the structure of the total completion of the physicality. And one of the reasons we change shape by age is because of the construction of this field at this gland, as it dictates our shape in the womb of the mother. Through its functionality, it changes by time, and with it changes our face, changes our feature. Any other question?
Okay, there's a question from 2A in the Q&A. It says, some YouTubers do so-called channeling of the universal community, the Andromedians, the Pleiadians, and beings from Agartha. Is this allowed? How does this process look like in terms of plasma and soul teaching?
I prefer to keep quiet about this.
Okay.
If they say they do, and you have the knowledge of the Gans plasma, and you understand it, try to see if they can explain the work of the plasma.
And if they can, I assume that that would be an indication that that would be a more correct teaching.
In a way, these things don't exist, if I try to explain it that way. You got to understand, if there is a agreed work, as I explained before, in the universal community. No races are allowed to touch man. No races outside this planet are allowed to touch man. We communicate, we interact, but we do not work within the structure to change the course of mankind or allow people to say who they are. If you are, you can stand out and explain who you are. We did that in one of the last Italian conference. I announced that there is someone which is not from this planet in this auditorium, in this group. And one lady got up and said, "Me." And actually the person was not far behind her. If you are being a passenger of the universe, you know what you see, you understand. And there is one general agreement. Mankind will not be touched till the man matures himself. So whoever sees the Gogolians and Gogolians, let them speak. You'll find that they have nobody to speak to. If there was going to be an interference with man to bring him out of the position he is now, it would have been done centuries ago. We wouldn't let man to go through these killings and the rest of it. Man has to mature that through his own DNA, RNA, let these things go, not by others to be brought to them. Any other question?
Okay, Antonio says, Mr. Keshe, are we in this cosmic cycle of life going from involution to evolution, essentially coming full circle and now and going back to the source from where we have come?
Mamy koniec tłumaczenia pierwszej części 362 warsztatu. Jeśli ktoś chciałby zabrać głos, to zapraszam.
Dzięki, Jarku. Także pierwsza część tego warsztatu, co tutaj mieliśmy na początek o szczepionkach, dr Keshe wskazywał tutaj na problemy, które pojawiają się głównie na razie u alergików, ale myślę, że jest to przestrzeń, którą warto obserwować w kontekście też innych powikłań. Jeśli chodzi o już temat nauczania właściwego, można powiedzieć, dr Keshe tłumaczył, w jaki sposób można chronić fizyczność, czy to przed wypadkiem, czy to w trakcie podróży, poprzez elewację duszy do tego poziomu, stworzenie tego warunku, gdzie dusza nie jest w środku fizyczności, tylko jest na zewnątrz, jest blisko granicy, można powiedzieć, tej, którą nakreśla fizyczność. I w tym procesie, gdy ta dusza jest na zewnątrz, po pierwsze mamy dwa efekty w sumie. Pierwszy to jest, można powiedzieć, jak to dr Keshe mówi, jesteśmy niewidzialni dla obiektów fizycznych, czyli tutaj postrzegamy siebie czy tą kopertę, jak mieliśmy to porównanie do czarnej koperty, to tą kopertą tutaj jest właśnie nasza dusza, która jest na poziomie energii, a nie na poziomie fizyczności, więc jakiekolwiek inne obiekty fizyczne, które gdzieś tam są na jej drodze, czy to tu na Ziemi, czy w trakcie podróży w kosmosie, te obiekty przechodzą przez te pola energii, tak samo jak wszystko inne, no można powiedzieć, wszystko inne funkcjonuje. Ciepło, można powiedzieć, nie widzimy, a to ciepło może rozpuszczać jakąś bryłę lodu na przykład, więc tu mamy, można powiedzieć, takie porównanie, zobrazowanie do prozaicznego przykładu fizyczności, a jeśli chodzi o drugi efekt, jaki wtedy uzyskujemy, to to, że dusza będąc na zewnątrz naszej fizyczności w tym momencie jest karmiona, ma dostęp do tego wszystkiego, co może absorbować ze wszechświata i w tym procesie jest w stanie się karmić, a w momencie, kiedy odwracamy ten warunek i z powrotem wraca ona do środka naszej fizyczności, można powiedzieć, to wtedy już nakarmiona dusza jest w stanie też odżywiać naszą fizyczność także wydaje mi się, że ten temat był już dotykany jakieś parę warsztatów temu, gdzie dr Keshe mówił także o tym, że w tym procesie jesteśmy w stanie tą fizyczność też reperować, naprawiać. I zaraz było odwołanie do jednostek wzmacniających, do magrawów, gdzie dr Keshe mówił o tym, że tworzymy duszę fizyczności, na przykład tych atomów złota, tego złota, które chcemy, żeby się zamanifestowało. Jeśli takie jest życzenie operatora, tego, kto obsługuje tą maszynę, to wtedy ta dusza w warunku bezwładności tej planety może właśnie wykreować taką fizyczność. Zaraz po tym mieliśmy temat 5 kubków. Tutaj dr Keshe wyjaśniał trochę właśnie w odniesieniu do kubków, tego poziomu, tego kubka, tej bezwładności, inercji. Mieliśmy też wytłumaczenie, jeśli chodzi o ten element węgla, który pojawia się bardzo często w naszych gansach, a także aminokwasu, gdzie te dwa, który po pierwsze tworzy się przy produkcji gansu, po drugie ten aminokwas jest właśnie tym połączeniem z fizycznością, a węgiel jest też tą linią komunikacji, tym połączeniem, tylko że na poziomie nie fizyczności, a właśnie duszy. Tutaj można, myślę, nawiązać do tego, co dr Keshe też to było publikowane w tych magazynie Plazma. Tam jest taki artykuł, wycinek z nauczeń dr Keshego, który mówił właśnie o węglu 14 jako tej linii uniwersalnej, można powiedzieć, linii komunikacji, także z kreatorem właśnie na poziomie duszy, komunikacji na poziomie duszy. I tutaj jako przykład, jeśli chodzi o tą komunikację, wiadomo, musimy w jakiś sposób znać też siłę pól, miejsce naszego przeznaczenia. Tutaj w Plazmie cały czas działamy z podstawową zasadą wspólnego mianownika, czyli musimy w pewien sposób dostroić się siłą pól do miejsca przeznaczenia po to, żeby móc w tym miejscu się zamanifestować. Jeśli chodzi o przykład z naszej planety, widzimy, jak na przykład ptaki czy inne zwierzęta sezonowo podążają, odbywają swoją wędrówkę sezonową i są w stanie trafić bez żadnej mapy, bez żadnego GPS-a, tylko właśnie idąc można powiedzieć, za intuicją, za polami, które w pewnym sensie pozostają niezmienione w tym środowisku, do którego te ptaki czy inne zwierzęta dążą. I to jest, można powiedzieć, prosta inspiracja czy analogia do tego, jak można podróżować w troszkę szerszym wymiarze, nie tylko tej planety. Były później seria pytań odnośnie tego, czy można na poziomie fizycznym, poprzez urządzenia fizyczne, czy można zmierzyć plazmę, czy można zmierzyć duszę. Na co dr Keshe mówił, że no niespecjalnie, ale można zrobić coś takiego, że stworzyć przepływ plazmy, przepływ pól i tutaj albo stworzyć warunek słabszego, gdzie w pewnym sensie prowokujemy ten warunek i przepływ puli jesteśmy w stanie w momencie, kiedy już go zainicjujemy, wtedy można powiedzieć, że dopiero wtedy jest to mierzyć. Z drugiej strony można też to zrobić w odwrotny sposób, czyli stworzyć warunek silniejszego, który będzie z kolei karmił, czyli przepływ, można powiedzieć, będzie w drugą stronę, ale w obu tych przypadkach celujemy tutaj w ten wspólny mianownik, w tą wspólną linię komunikacji, czyli musimy znać w pewnym sensie tą siłę pól, czy być w stanie interagować, być w stanie komunikować się, oddziaływać w tej sile pól. Mieliśmy też pytanie o szyszynkę, czy coś w tym stylu, bo tutaj nie było dokładnie sprecyzowane, no, co dr Keshe zaczął omawiać. Nie wiem, czy dokładnie odniósł się do tego, że mówi tutaj o szyszynce, ale nakreślał zrozumienie właśnie gruczołu, który lokował gdzieś naprzeciwko czoła, myślę naprzeciwko czoła, wewnątrz głowy, gdzieś na tej wysokości. Mówił o tym, że ten gruczoł składa się z dwóch części, z dwóch połówek i to właśnie ten fakt powoduje, że jest interakcja między jedną a drugą. W pewnym sensie jest filtrem dla pól, które wchodzą właśnie w tym kierunku. Z drugiej strony dr Keshe mówi o tym, że można zaobserwować zmiany w przypadku tego gruczoła w takich warunkach jak stwardnienie, rozsiane te choroby, gdzie fizyczność zaczyna się pakować, gdzie w pewnym sensie decyzja o końcu, o śmierci została podjęta. I tutaj idąc dalej tym wywodem mówi o tym, że te gruczoły dyktują na poziomie jeszcze łona naszej matki, dyktują wygląd naszej twarzy i tak samo z wiekiem, jak gdy się starzejemy, nasza twarz, można powiedzieć, też zmienia swoje trochę atrybuty z tego właśnie powodu, że w obrębie tego gruczołu też zachodzi ten proces, zachodzą pewne zmiany, które to powodują właśnie tą zmianę fizyczności. Mieliśmy jeszcze pytanie o Plejadian, o różnych innych kosmicznych, można powiedzieć, podróżników. Myślę, że każdy z nas gdzieś tam natknął się na różnego rodzaju historie tych wojen kosmicznych, różne ligi, białe, czarne, jasne, różowe i tak dalej. I tutaj dr Keshe mówi o tym, że powiedział w pewnym sensie, że czegoś takiego nie ma i tutaj odniósł się, co miał na myśli, mówiąc w pewnym sensie, czyli nawiązywał do tego, że jest pewna reguła we wszechświecie, że przybysze czy obywatele innych planet, przybysze z innych planet nie mogą tutaj krzywdzić mieszkańców Ziemi, nie mogą wyrządzić nam krzywdy i tutaj gdzieś pod koniec tej odpowiedzi była też wzmianka, że dopóki nie dojrzejemy do ich poziomu, więc można powiedzieć, że na razie nie ma się o co martwić z jednej strony i w zasadzie z drugiej strony też, bo tak jest tutaj, można powiedzieć, przedstawiane wytłumaczenie tego tematu. I w zasadzie tyle, jeśli chodzi z mojej strony o streszczenie tych treści tutaj przedstawionych. Jak ktoś ma ochotę zabrać głos, wypowiedzieć się w którymś z tych tematów albo zadać pytanie, to zapraszam. Dzięki.
Dzięki Przemku. Jak zwykle bardzo nam pomaga to utrwalenie całej tej informacji, która została tutaj przedstawiona w tej części warsztatu. Jest tu dużo takich ciekawostek, które łączymy z innymi, chociażby wypowiedziami i informacjami na temat chociażby jasnowidzenia, czy postrzegania z poziomu duszy. No jest tu takich połączeń dosyć dużo, gdzie niektórzy jakby w pewien sposób odczuwają te vorteksy, te gruczoły niefizyczne na wiele sposobów. Niektórzy próbują to wyjaśnić w swoim zrozumieniu, że wysyłają pole energii, czy odbierają jakąś informację. Myślę, że ten warsztat jakby nam rozświetla tą wiedzę i nakładając warstwa po warstwie, jakby to jest coraz prostsze do zrozumienia i pojęcia i bardziej nas uściśla w praktyce tego, aczkolwiek nie każdy jeszcze jakby chce lub skupia się na tym, żeby to wykorzystać praktycznie i trzymać się jakby tego tej linii nauczania bez jakichś tam chociażby pobocznych problemów czy informacji. I tutaj ciekawostką było to z mojego doświadczenia, gdzie Keshe powiedział właśnie na temat najdalszego punktu w ciele, czyli chociażby palca u stopy. I to tak właśnie mi utrwaliło tą praktykę, że czasami no, uciekło mi to słowo, czyli zaprzestajemy jakby tej praktyki i skupiamy się na czymś innym i myślę z warsztatu na warsztat z powrotem próbujemy w tej sile tego zamyślenia, w tej informacji podążać z powrotem i powrócić do praktycznego zrozumienia tego. Musimy to skupić po prostu w soczewce informacji. No tak, takich moich wywodów trochę i myślę, że i będzie ta zmiana i życzę wszystkim praktycznej wersji tego, co tu było powiedziane. Tak więc spotykamy się. Chyba że są jeszcze pytania jakieś, to zapraszam. Jak nie, to skończymy i dokończymy to w niedzielę. Dobrze, nie mamy pytań, to spotykamy się w niedzielę. Tak więc to były 431 warsztaty poszukiwaczy wiedzy w języku polskim w czwartku 14 stycznia 2021 roku. Dobrej nocy i dzięki za przetłumaczenie tego warsztatu.
Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator Wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. I jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy i musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto, co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom. To jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.